Hi guys. Byahe kayo.
Gets a second chance.
Someone in my community. Overdose deaths. Admiral Brett Giroir is Assistant Secretary for the U.S. Health Department.
Basically, all the progress that we made has now been reversed, and this is even before the pandemic.
Overdose deaths were already on the rise last year, killing roughly 72,000 Americans. Speaking on a panel examining the collision of COVID-19 and the addiction crisis, Giroir said the scramble is on to prevent an even larger death toll.
Every indication we have in terms of stress, in terms of surveys about increasing use during the pandemic, basically everything is pointed in the wrong direction. You know, it's just a nightmare.
Giroir says all these risk factors are hitting people of color especially hard.
Minorities, Native Americans, Native Alaskans, people who we know also bear a lot of the disproportionate burden of substance misuse and substance use disorders. The manifestations of our historic disparities are really just in everyone's face right now.
The American Medical Association has also raised alarms about this, about the link between COVID-19 and drug overdoses, especially in Black and Latinx communities.
This pandemic has brought into stark reality many things.
Dr. Patrice Harris, who heads the AMA's opioid task force, says racial inequities in healthcare have grown more visible as the addiction crisis and the pandemic crash into each other. She largely blames one policy decision.
A decades-long underfunding, under-resourcing of the public health infrastructure.
State and federal agencies have responded to the overdose surge, easing regulations so people in recovery have better access to medical treatments and allowing more drug counseling using telemedicine. But as the pandemic ravages the economy, addiction services and public health face even more cuts, which means for people most at risk of overdose, finding help could grow even harder. Brian Mann, NPR News.
Later
Later this month, 33 race cars will be screaming around the track of the Indy 500. But this year, that could be the only screaming heard, as fans are banned from the stands. A very different Indy 500 tomorrow on All Things Considered. You're listening to All Things Considered from NPR News. As the first Black and Asian American woman on a presidential ticket, Kamala Harris is making history. Something presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden noted yesterday when he introduced her as his running mate.
And this morning, all across the nation, little girls woke up, especially little black and brown girls, who so often feel overlooked and undervalued in their communities. But today, just maybe, they're seeing themselves for the first time in a new way.
NPR's David Folkenflik reports on how the media covered this election.
Harris brings a lot of firsts. She's the first black woman nominated on a national ticket from a major party. She's first Asian American. And she's the daughter of immigrants. The New York Times and USA Today gave the news full historic treatment, dominating the front pages of each with striking photos that could be in movie ads. Here's MSNBC's Mika Brzezinski. She's a strong critic of President Trump.
So this is just a great Joe Biden trait, and he's not afraid of having a strong woman by his side.
In the conservative media, however, Harris's identity was often wielded against her. On Fox News, longtime Republican operative Ari Fleischer suggested black Americans simply didn't embrace Harris.
She's just not that historically exciting to African Americans. She certainly wasn't during the primary, and that was one of the biggest reasons Biden picked her. He needs that boost in African American turnout in order to win. I don't see it.
That argument was fleshed out more by Mark Levin, a conservative legal pundit, speaking here hours after the pick was named.
Kamala Harris is not an African American. She is Indian and Jamaican. Jamaica is part of the Caribbean. India is out there near China.
Out there near China, as a description of India, is its own special brand of geographic dismissiveness. Yet Kamala Harris, the daughter of a mother from India and a father from Jamaica, was born in Oakland, California. She grew up in Berkeley before moving to Montreal. Though herself Asian, her mother brought Harris up with a strong sense of black identity. Harris went to a leading historically black college, Howard University, even pledged AKA, a premier black sorority. Now, back to Mark Levin, who has a weekly show on Fox News, though this is from the opening to his show on the conservative outlet The Blaze, focusing like a laser beam on Harris's identity.
Her ancestry does not go back to American slavery. To the best of my knowledge, her ancestry doesn't go back to slavery at all.
Cornell University historian Margaret Washington has spent her career studying the American South and slavery. She says Levin seems to be intentionally missing the point.
The Americas represent two hemispheres, and Jamaica was a slave society. And so why is she any less African American than I am? We are all Americans. And those of us who have African heritage are African Americans.
Washington argues Levin and others are cynically seeking to deploy Harris's multifaceted identity against her.
I think it's a way of characterizing people who are biracial as not really being black. That's what they did with Obama. I think that's what they're attempting with Kamala Harris.
Again, Harris herself was born in Oakland. Right on schedule, Newsweek just published a column by a conservative law professor arguing that Harris isn't eligible to run for vice president because her parents were immigrants. It's a revival of the playbook deployed by large segments of the conservative media that indulge racist claims against America's first black president. David Folkenflik, NPR News.
You're listening to All Things Considered.
The time is 5:48 at 88.9 WEKU. I'm Samantha Morrill. Thanks for joining us for All Things Considered. Fewer than 1 million people claimed unemployment last week, the smallest number of claims in months. It's a sign the job market is improving, but tens of millions of people are still out of work. That story coming up in about 15 minutes on All Things Considered.
Associated Press News on WEKU is supported by Dell. There's more information on business computers at dell.com/smallbusiness.
Next time on In Conversation, Appalachian Fall. That's the new book from the Ohio Valley Resource, the public media collaborative with journalists in Kentucky, West Virginia, and Ohio. Since 2016, they've been covering numerous issues affecting the Appalachian region, including the transition from a coal-dominated economy. OVR Managing Editor Jeff Young and members of his team will join us, and we want to hear from you on In Conversation, Friday morning at 11, 10 Central Time on this Kentucky Public Radio station.
For the first time in modern U.S. history, the Democratic and Republican national conventions will be mostly virtual. Both candidates will accept their party's nominations without the customary spectacle. What does a political convention sound like when so few people can attend? Join us starting Monday, August 17th for live special coverage from NPR News.
That's starting this Monday evening at 9 o'clock on 88.9 WEKU. And join us this Monday for a special series from NPR, Summer of Racial Reckoning. We explore the lives of the people at the center of the protests this Monday morning at 11 on 88.9 WEKU. The time is 5:50. I'm Samantha Morrill. Thanks for joining us. The Eastern Kentucky Concentrated Employment Program, or EKSEP, is launching a new initiative to help Eastern Kentuckians who have lost their jobs due to the coronavirus pandemic. It's called Rework EKY. In today's interview, I talked to EKSEP Executive Director Jeff Whitehead about what the program hopes to accomplish. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, it's good to be here.
EKSEP does a lot of work with employment, obviously, but the newest initiative is Rework EKY. Can you tell us about this new program?
Well, it's part of a statewide grant from the Department of Labor that the state received, basically to work with people who've been impacted by COVID, and for those who've lost their job. And so the focus there is to work with these folks that have been impacted.
Hinahinay mag-drive. Kapoy kaya day. Oo, kagmila. Jacket. So, ano yung panghatag ng jacket? Saan panghatag ng jacket? Di ko kabalaw.
Family help. It could be even delivering groceries, supplies, and those.
I love it.
For people who are having to be
Di ko kabalaw.
At the beginning stages of this, and we're really wanting to research and make sure that we identify the areas that people can do first aid. And work with agencies.
Ay, saan lagi panghatag og jacket? Kabalo ka manghatag og jacket? Jacket? Di ko kabalo manghatag og jacket, kabalo ra ko mo tamsak.
Higher skill online training with some higher education partners. Can you tell us about that?
Saan ba paghatag og jacket? Stop saying jacket! How? Ay, si katawa. Tudlo ikaw saan paghatag og jacket. Google it, Chloe. How to give a jacket on YouTube live stream.
How to what?
How to give a jacket.
Jacket?
Yeah. Tudlo to give a jacket on YouTube stream? How to give a jacket?
A jacket?
Yeah, in YouTube live stream. Saan lagi? Tuloy ko. I know. Saan lagi maghatag? Chloe, Google it. How to give a jacket on YouTube live stream. Lagi, kabalo ko karang blue nya. Upo ko balo. Asa man ni asa man ka makuha na.
Talk to yourself.
I know. Yeah, kabalo naman ka. Tuloy
It doesn't say anything about jacket.
Yeah, how to give jacket
It
on live
doesn't
stream.
say anything about jacket.
Tuloy lagi po ko. Kabalo naman ka. Tuloy ko. Give me your phone, Chloe. Let me Google it.
Bruh, no, you're freaking drunk. It says nothing about giving a jacket.
On live streaming.
I know. It says nothing about giving a jacket. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Ayun na kayo niyo mo daw. Tuloy ko tawag mag-jacket.
You sound like a moron.
Nakata na siya ba? Saan ba katawag jacket?
Jacket.
La 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 la. Sige, bidoangan lang ko ni mo ay. Kanta ko kanta ni Renz Verano. Kaulo ka ni Renz Verano? Ay, kanta na lang ko kuan. Bisaya ang kanta. Kanta mong kuruguan. Kanta, kanta. Kanta mo kog Bisaya ron. Wala ka tong kanta nga Bisaya dai nga mucho ka balili. Layo, layo. Dahil tuloy ko ba? Saan maghatag ko jacket? nang ano na, nang usyoso. Ano ba?
Live streaming?
Yeah, how to
I thought
give...
you were talking to yourself the whole time.
Yeah.
I was like, this woman is going insane.
Chloe, you know how to give a jacket on live streaming?
Give a freaking jacket.
Wala, naniid ra na. Mucha ka baliling, layo, layo. Anay kan, kanta rin nga Bisaya. Kung ikaw kalibangon, dagan lang sa baybayon. Kung ikaw walay ilo, id-id lang sa dakong bato. Ang bato doon ay sising. Imong lubot na gising. Tambalan o sa to'y tambalan guys. Nga, ikaw kanta. Kantahan ti kaya. Dili na pagkarahan. Kantahan ti kaya. Liron, sinta. Liron, sinta. Ambot, limot na kantahan. Kantahan ti kag bahay kubo kahit monte ang halaman doon ay sari-sari. Oh shit. Singkamas at talong, sigarilyas at mani. Lupa din na ako ang computer, cellphone,